Hey rockers, welcome to the Metal Fitness Podcast. I am stoked for today's podcast because we have a special guest on that loves talking about spooky stories, murder, paranormal, you name it, all the shit metalheads love. So anyway, Erin, tell us about you, what you love doing, and the story itself.
Hey, so I'm Erin. I have a podcast called the Sleepynauts podcast, and what I do over there is I write. Um, they are celebrity-centric satire sleep stories, which is a mouthful, and it basically means I just make shit up about celebrities. I take a celebrity, I take a weird so let's talk about this week. So this week is Jason Bateman and the Sea Turtle. So I've got Jason Bateman, and I've got this bullshit story that I wrote that is hilarious and weird. And you listen to it, and you can fall asleep or you can laugh, either one. But it's for shits and giggles. In this particular episode, Jason Bateman turns down a very lucrative job because he's traumatized by an event with a sea turtle when he was a child. So there's all kinds of episodes. I like to write about just the weirdest shit you can think of, and I have an episode that's all about Bigfoot as a snowbird. So during the summer, he goes and stays in the winter cabins that are empty on the mountain and has an existential crisis while he eats spicy Cheetos. So I write about the weird stuff. I've written 2 books that would be like horror, paranormal, and I just absorb everything that's weird in the world. And that's why today I wanted to start my first piece. I wanted to share with you about the zombie woman of Seattle. Okay, Steph, have you heard about the zombie woman of Seattle?
I have not zombie woman, but
Zombie
like tech zombie.
So on May 6th, a TikTok user who her username is 627, her name is Ishaya or Isha, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Brown. So she lives in Seattle, and she posted a video that she shot from her apartment. It shows a woman sort of stumbling down the street. She's holding a bag of something. It appears bloody. Now the woman herself, her face is very white. Her eyes are black, almost like they've been burned in some sort of chemical fire. She has one little tuft of hair. I mean, this is like May 6th. This is just a couple of weeks ago. She's got one little tuft of hair, and she's stumbling down the street. So the video goes up on TikTok. It immediately goes viral. TikTok takes it down. They put it up on YouTube. YouTube takes it down. So everywhere where it gets put up, it gets immediately taken down with no explanation. So the woman in the video, she has clean clothes, but she looks very confused. And so there's a whole debate as to what the fuck is going on.
No doubt.
So I did a deep dive so that no one else who listens to this has to. So when you can Google her and you can still find the video because people are still putting it up. But it's weird as shit. Is she the 3 prevailing theories have come to be? Is she a homeless woman who's having a mental health crisis? Is she someone who has been kidnapped and tortured and now is wandering the streets because she's escaped her captor? And the third question becomes, is it bullshit? Is it art? Is it a movie? Is it something weird? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about all this. Yeah. So a lot of other people filmed her while she was on the street. So there's different angles, and it's all cell phone footage. It's all people who went and posted it later. And so in one video, in the first video, you see her stumbling down the road, and then it stops. In the second video, you see her, she's screaming, "Don't take my baby," as the police are like, "Ma'am, we're trying to help you, we're trying to help you." And she's like, "No, don't take my baby." It's horrible, it's sad. You're like, wait, is your baby that thing that you're cradling? My God, is that a dead baby in the bag? But you can't see anything because it's all a little too far away, a little too grainy. And so there's multiple shots of this. One YouTuber was like, "Oh, this is bullshit. It's a movie. They're filming a movie." First of all, it's Seattle. There's no one else on the street but this woman and the police. Second of all, there's a Steven Soderbergh. I was confusing with Steven Sondheim. So not the same people. There's a Steven Soderbergh movie that's being filmed in Seattle. There were multiple ads online for like, we need a woman to film a scene. It's not a zombie movie. Like it's not a zombie movie. But this guy who I watched on YouTube was like, it's 100% fake. Look, there's no one else on the streets. It's got to be fake. There's no other camera crews on the street though. There's no, I mean, when you shut down production, when you shut down a city street for production, there's crew going, hey, don't walk through this shot. There's people, there's none of that with
Yeah,
this.
totally.
So unless it's real, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Unless it's real grassroots or like a college film, it is not fake. It is not a film.
And even if it's a college one, you'd still, because I remember recording in high school and you still had at least one other person helping you.
Totally. Now, is it possible that the people who shot these videos just didn't catch crew? Of course it is. But I think this YouTuber, his whole point was like, oh, it's Seattle and there's no one on the streets. I'm sorry, we're in a pandemic. I used to live in Seattle. There are pockets where there's no one on the streets. If she's in a population in an area that's heavily populated, sure, there would be people everywhere, but she's not at the Fisherman's Wharf. She's just randomly there. So I think that doesn't hold a lot of weight. The second thing is, was she kidnapped and tortured? That's a legit thing. I wondered the same thing myself.
Yeah.
She literally has a white face. It looks like it's painted white. Her eyes are blackened. It looks like, okay, maybe she got sprayed in the face with something and, she's been tortured, whatever. The only thing is, none of the citizen detectives that I saw have been able to find any sort of police report, which is public record. There's no hospital records for a woman who had been tortured. There's no news reports for like, woman found tortured after being beat, or whatever. And so I tend to disregard that theory. I don't know if it feels more organic, to some people than others. Then, maybe I'm wrong. But the third, I think, is the most likely. And this is sort of bleak and like so fucking depressing. So there is a theory that maybe she was at home. She was doing something. I don't know. Have you seen the TikTok challenge where like people try to eat corn off of a hand drill as it's rotating really fast and they knock their teeth out? Yeah. So the theory is she had something with some kind of motor that her hair got caught in and like ripped her whole fucking scalp off. And she's in gnarly shock, like what she's carrying is her own scalp and half of her face. There's no proof of this, but
that makes maybe not always more sense, but it does sound really plausible though. That
I think, yeah.
I mean, I've seen like weird fail videos. Like I think there's one, and it doesn't show you all of it, but I think it was somebody that was literally like next to a tractor or whatever, and they like got their hair or something caught in the wheels. I mean, obviously I didn't see enough of it, but the first thing that comes to mind, I'm like, how much of that came off her head? Like,
oh yeah, totally. And that sort of opens it up. Okay, is her face white because that's her fucking skull? That's the bones of her face.
Or is she in shock?
Oh yeah. And so did she stumble out of her house and she's like, oh my God, what the fuck? And she's just totally, so many citizen detectives have tried to find her. She just has disappeared. So we don't have any confirmation of who she is, sadly. I'm hoping that'll come in the future, like as another news piece. I'll have a follow-up to this. But if anybody listening to this knows what happened, and they're saying, oh, it's mean to call her a zombie, she might be having a health crisis. It's absolutely mean to call her a zombie. The only reason people are doing it is because that's the original title of the video on TikTok that went up. So the mystery of the week is, what the fuck is the deal with the zombie woman of Seattle? If you're listening and you're like, well, this sounds weird, Google it, watch the video, send me an email at thesleepynautspodcast@gmail.com. Help me solve this mystery, because it's the weirdest thing I have seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about like getting this out. Like you mentioned, you're like, there's this story that I have, and it's the weirdest fucking story I've had in a while. And I remember you going on like, I totally have the best story to talk about. I'm sure you know other things that people haven't heard of, and there's probably stories you have that I haven't heard of that I'm pretty sure would make people be like, what? Really? That's a thing? Like, and I just feel like this is a really good addition to, being better and helping yourself and all that stuff. But as we all know, most metalheads, it's more than just that. There's the weird shit, the stuff that makes other people look at them and be like, you're nuts. Like, why do you like this weird, morbid stuff? I mean, most music is kind of morbid anyway. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, just for a point of reference, me and my kids, I have 2 kids. We sat down to color the other night because we were just bored as shit. And we have a bunch of Disney. I have 2 boys. I don't know why I have a pack of Disney princess coloring pages, but I do for some reason. And so my first instinct was I took one and I turned the Disney princess into, I mean, I gave her the corpse paint. I put her in like a Norwegian forest. It was like, why is my first instinct to do this to Merida from a Disney movie? Because it's fucking awesome. And so, I think putting corpse paint on anything is amazing. This woman looks a little like she has corpse paint on, but she doesn't. And so, yeah, like, I think this is a good story to start with because it's very relatable. Like I could have started with UFOs. There's a lot happening in the UFO world right now. I could have started with haunting stuff, just to plug, if anybody's into demons and that sort of thing. The Ghost Adventures Demon House documentary just came out on Discovery Plus. It's a way to waste an afternoon if you're into haunted stuff. It really is. I mean, we can talk about that later. I have issues with Zach Bagans, but anybody who listens to my podcast knows that already. So, and I thought this one was good because we all need to remember at the end of the day, this is fucking weird and it's scary. It's horrific, but it's also really important to remember, like, if you're home alone and you're like, I'm just going to hit up the lathe and I'm going to make myself this metal works thing, pull your hair up. Cover your bases, make sure you don't rip your scalp off, take a little bit of time for some self-care, because it'll be bad enough if you rip your scalp off and half your face. If you go viral for it, it's going to feel terrible. If the internet starts calling you the zombie woman of Portland, it's going to feel bad. So, remembering to take a little time, just to, get your safety goggles, pull your hair up, make sure you let someone know that you're going to be working on your metal sculpture, just in case. It's always a good reminder. So
it reminds you of our own mortality.
Yes, exactly. So with that being said, I felt like this was a good fit for our first episode, even though it might not seem like it right out of the gate. And again, if you know anything about this, please tell me. I go insane laying in bed at night thinking about what happened to this woman. Email me. I'm on all of the social medias at Erin Potter Plow with no hyphen. Just let me know. Just hit me up. Because, like, I mean, don't hit me up just to tell me I'm stupid. I mean, I know it could be just stupid, but I tend to believe it might have been a self-inflicted tragedy. So anybody out there, let me know.
Awesome. Well, it was super rad having you on today. Thank you for that awesomely weird story, and I hope that the other people out there enjoyed that weird story as well. And I'm excited to bring more of this once a month, at the beginning of every single month, every single Thursday, so you get a nice little change of pace and just get more excitement in your life with maybe shit you don't always understand. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. It was awesome. Have a kick-ass day and rock on.